Okay, this video does exactly what it says on the tin. I have a massive problem with the truther community, and I'm going to put truther in inverted commas. That's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Why I have a massive problem and why I think it is a significant issue. Now, I've done videos before where I've said about why I don't dislike the terms awake and truther. Phrases like that, they conjure up images of omnipotence, and they're very arrogant and shallow, actually. None of us know the truth. None of us are awake. As I say, I've done previous videos where I've gone into this, but I just want to kind of describe in this video, explore from a bit of a different angle, really, why the truther community is, or embedded with it, are elements within the truther community that are very unhelpful, and that are in so many ways similar to the COVID zealots in how they perceive things and interact and operate. Now, before I do that, I just want to talk about this channel first, my channel, The Imperfect Individual. As I say, I don't call myself a truther. I don't say I'm awake. I feel those terms are ridiculous. And what do I use this channel for? To air my view, to try and be authentic, to try and be brave, to try and stimulate conversation, and to try and form connections based on what? Based, I'd like to think, on some degree of introspection, some emotional intelligence, some genuineness, and some, hopefully, some creativity and some intelligence. That's what I try and do. Now, you can let me know whether I do that or not. But what do I get back from it? So much. That's why I love this channel, because of my subscribers, because of the people who watch, share and comment, particularly the people who comment. And I have a number of people who comment regularly who I really, really, really value. And for me, they embody those values that I think are important, that are essential in these, always essential in any era, in any society, but particularly right now, when we're living through exceptionally challenging times. So I know that I probably wouldn't describe myself as a humble person. I'd like to be more humble, and I see a lot of humility with a lot of my subscribers in the way that they articulate themselves. I would say that yes, I try to be authentic and honest, and and stimulate debate. Yeah, but I wouldn't describe myself as humble yet. I'm not at that stage in my life. I would also not describe myself as not having a big ego. I know that I do, and I don't want to. I want to embrace a more spiritual and calmer and probably less reactive way of being and living. But again, I see a lot of real altruism and spirituality and real constructive creativity in the way that people communicate with me and with each other on this channel. And that's why I really, really value this channel and the subscribers. As I say, the conversations that we have, the connections that are developed, the issues that are explored in a very, very unique way, the hope that permeates, I think, and the overarching kind of energy, I think, is one not born out of fear, but born out of a kind of, let's say, an optimistic realism, can we say, or a spiritualistic realism? I don't know. What I'm trying to say, though, is that I don't class myself, my channel and my subscribers as truthers. Now, you may call yourself a truther, you may see it, and that's absolutely fine. For me, though, this channel is just where it needs to be, with just the right, it's only small, just over 600 subscribers, but just where it needs to be, and the right people for me, the people who I value because they have not a similar worldview, but similar values, and know how to communicate. That's another massive one. Ability to be able to constructively communicate, not destructively communicate. So, with all that being said and done, the truther community, the awakened community, which forms part of the alternative media, of which this channel undoubtedly is. Is this channel part of the alternative new media? Well, of course it is, yeah. Well, why is it? Well, because we tackle issues that are censored by the mainstream media. Because I'm just a fella, a 40-year-old fella who picks up his phone and chats whatever's on his mind. There's no script. You know, there's no agenda. It's just whatever's in my mind, whatever I feel needs to be said, whatever issues I feel need to be heard, I'll talk about them. And to me, that's the alternative, the new alternative media, which is exceptionally important. It's that citizen journalism, if you want to call it that as well. Yeah, of course it is. And there are so many people doing this same thing now. And I feel it is exceptionally important because it's holding truth to power, it's stimulating conversations, it's developing connections, and probably at its deepest essence, we are reimagining truth, you know, because I've said on what truth is and how we can inject truth back into our lives again. Because after the last few years, what I've come to realize is that anything that I see online, right, is there either only to challenge what I already think, to embellish what I already think, or it's there to be dismissed or to be wholly accepted. And not to be wholly accepted. It's there to to challenge what I already think, to add on to what I already think, to embellish what I already think, to be dismissed, or to stimulate a new way of thinking about a situation. It's not there just to be accepted as gospel truth, as in the same way that this for you is also. It's not a truth that is. It's not, in many ways for you. It's probably not your truth. It might contribute to your truth and to how you see the world, how you formulate your perception, but what I've learned in the last few years, and this is what we need to return to as a society, is that our primary and only truth is what we can see with our eyes, what we can hear with our ears. So for me, it's sitting here upstairs. I can look out the window. That's real. I can see that. You can't see it probably, but it's quite a lovely view out the window. I can see this camera, this phone camera, and I'm talking into it, and I'm talking to you. That's all I know that's real. All I know that's real in the world is this, right now, in this present moment. So why am I saying that? Because as for a society to reimagine, to redevelop, and to re-establish and rekindle some kind of relationship with truth, we need to talk genuinely about what is real, you know, and why do we think what's real is real and what's not real, and how do we do that? Well, we do it by talking, and we do it by talking to each other, you know, as well as talking to ourselves. I mean, talking to ourselves, that sounds a bit funny, doesn't it? Talk to ourselves, but I mean, by being introspective, by having a constructive internal monologue with ourselves that helps us to have constructive dialogues with other people. And we do that by trying to embrace the issues, by talking about the issue, but ourselves, you know, creating conversation, stimulating conversation, using our own words to formulate our own thoughts, to make sense of our own thoughts, to formulate them into words, to express them as opinions. Now that's not the truth. That is truth, though. That is truth. What I'm doing now is truth. It's only my truth, and it's there for you to consider, for you possibly to embed as part of your truth, but not wholly embed. No, because my truth isn't your truth. Now, I hope you understand what I'm saying here, because to go back to the truther community, now, truther and awake, they have, as I say, I think they're very arrogant terms, born out of a real lack of introspection, a real lack of humility, a real a presence of a big ego. You know, they have an air of omnipotence, a degree of finality about them. I'm a truther, and I can teach you what's true and what's not, and you need to listen to me, and I'll always be the source of truth, because I know, because I've read everything, I'm aware of everything. Well, no, because that's not true, is it? You go back over all of my videos and see what have I said that categorically, looking back, is wrong. Probably loads. What have I misrepresented? Probably loads. Have I been hypocritical in so many ways? Where have I contradicted myself? Absolutely. In many different places, many different ways. The fool is the precursor to the saviour, as Carl Jung famously said. I talk about that in my book, link in the description. But here's the point. And that's why I call this channel The Imperfect Individual. That's fine, because being contradictory, being hypocritical, saying things that we regret, looking back and realising where we've made mistakes and where we've not accurately read a situation, that's all part. That's all part of realness. That's all part of what being human is. That's all part of embracing truth. This is why I always talk about, let's focus more on, society will coalesce around exposing a lie or lies, and we all know what they are at the moment, rather than what the truth is, because the truth is just too complex. But it will do that, exposing a lie, by living through, enough individuals living through their own truth, by talking openly, by being brave, by being willing to make mistakes, by being willing to have an opinion on something, their own opinion. And this brings me to the truth of community, because I'm not sure there's that many opinions within it. And I'm not sure there's enough emotional intelligence within that community. And I say that because I used to be in, when all this kicked off, when I say when all this kicked off, I'm talking about the COVID bollocks. You know, obviously, as you go down the different rabbit holes and you realise how we've been enslaved as a society for a much longer time than since 2020. But let's just go back to 2020, when I really did, you know, I woke up, in inverted commas. I started to realise things really weren't as they were portrayed a number of years before. Right, but I really started to go down all the rabbit holes that you can go down that are very, very interesting, with lots and lots of information that you have to discern and stitch together yourself. I started to go down all these rabbit holes when the COVID bollocks started. Exposed the COVID bollocks for what it was, which wasn't difficult. I joined a lot of different groups. I was on Facebook at the time. I joined Telegram, loads and loads and loads of groups. And I became disenchanted after a number of months, probably after, I don't know, probably after a year, say. I started to become very disenchanted, because I started to see that there was a lot of unhelpful contributions. There was a lot of fear dominating the narratives and the conversations. There was almost exclusive negativity, doom and gloom, worst case scenarios, apocalyptic scenarios. And I started to see patterns, really, that were replicating within those circles, that I could see that the masses were being subjected to. You know, black and white thinking, to a large degree, dominated, being driven by fear, worst case and apocalyptic scenarios. And it's that type of thinking and how it's become entrenched in the mainstream, with there's a virus that's going to kill everyone, climate change is going to kill everyone, Ukraine, Russia, you know, we're all going to die, the economy, we're all going to die. These Armageddon type scenarios, right? Black and white thinking, brainwashing, really. I started to see signs of psychosis, right? And I was glad I saw that, because I also started to realise how maybe I'd become affected by it myself. So step back, left a load of the groups. Again, I said earlier in the video, I really did remember that my primary and only source of truth and what's real is what I can see and hear, or, touch and taste, smell. Our sensory perception is our only way of, well, actually, there's another way of saying that, actually, because, I'm just talking about the 5 sense world there. And for those of you that are very connected to the other, to spirituality, to God, what I'm saying there, so you talk about contradiction, you could challenge that, couldn't you? And I'll challenge that myself. And this is the whole point, is that I'm still figuring everything out. Things are complex. Things are difficult. Things are impossible. Things are very, very impossible for us to figure out logically, although we can try and we can make a good argument. And difficult for us to spiritually imagine ourselves manifesting in a different way in this world as well. But it's important that we remember that, right? Because the dogma and the doctrine and the kind of unbending ideology within many truther circles pisses me off, because that's not real. Increasingly there's becoming less and less room for debate as well. Reading Matthias Desmet's book, The Psychology of Totalitarianism, which I've now finished, and I highly recommend that you read it. And he focuses mainly on, why societies turn mad and why the masses have succumbed to this primitive thinking, to these childish ways of behaving, and what explains the moral, spiritual and intellectual decay. And he uses a lot of historical examples, and it's fascinating. He's developed his own theory of totalitarianism, which I believe will go down in history. But towards the end of the book, he also talks about he says there's 30% of people who don't buy the narrative. Now, I think at the start it was probably like 3%. But anyway, it doesn't matter what the percentages are. He's talking about the people who don't comply, who resist the orders of the state, who are the most important people. And despite everything I'm saying here about the truther community, they are on the right side of history. It's just a lot of what they're doing is unhelpful, and they're more brainwashed than they think they are, a lot of them, right? And he talks about this, Matthias Desmet. He says that within the group that have their eyes open to the evil and to the lies and the deception, there are some within that group who also fall prey to black and white thinking and to a form of ideology and indoctrination, because for them, the way they cope is they also need one thing to focus on. So their ability to creatively pursue solutions becomes affected as well. And a tribal mentality starts to form and a groupthink starts to set up. Absolutely, it does. I see it. As I say, I don't know if there's that many people. Well, no, there are a lot of people, but there's outnumbered by 99 to 1 within the awakened community, people who are, as I say, regurgitating information, not creating, but regurgitating somebody else's idea, somebody else's opinion, someone else's content. Now, the irony, of course, of that is, I say at the end of my videos, please like, comment and share. But I hope I've explained how I see myself within this quest for societal truth. I only as a small, yes, an important, but a small cog. Now, the thing that I find most disturbing now about the truther community is this lurid and morbid and twisted and bizarre and macabre obsession with people dying. And isn't it amazing how the masses who are manipulated by statistics relating to the alleged COVID deaths, and they were, because that was all mostly based on lies, how now the very same people who were calling that out are now falling into the same trap with the utter fanatical obsession with people dying and the reason why they might be dying. And it's got to a point where I don't think truth matters at all to many of them. And for someone whose dad died of the Pfizer booster, I find it disturbing. I find it disturbing that people make jokes about it. And that's the point we're at now. That's the point we're at now. I find it disturbing that some people are wishing death on the sheep. What? Now, I've been highly critical. Read my book, link in the description, for a savage evisceration of the masses in Western society. Look at all my YouTube videos. I've never wished death on people, though. No. On the orchestrators, yes. Of course I do. The ultimate punishment. But as much as I've been critical, absolutely, they should hang their head in shame, so many people. The cowardice, the idiocy, you know, that has been on display has been absolutely incomprehensible to me. But I've never wished death on people. But some people, particularly older people, you know, they took that medical procedure because they were of that generation. They just did what they were told. It was just who they were, you know. And they were innocent. And they don't deserve to be made fun of. They don't deserve to have their deaths weaponised. They don't deserve to have their names bandied about when they die and a cause automatically attributed to their death. Where's the truth in that? Just ask yourself, where's the truth in that? So I feel I can say this as someone who has lost a loved one, someone close to me, as a result of this evil. For anyone who's doing this and waking up each day looking, you know, frantically searching for who in the local community in their 20s has died of a heart attack, woo, and sharing it, stop doing it. Stop doing it. Start showing a bit more respect. We know all about the excess deaths. We know what the probable cause is. I'm not stupid. I've spoken up about it. And I'm doing stuff, and I've done stuff to take on this evil. I've sacrificed a large part of my life to it. And it's not just involved sharing content about stuff you don't know to be true. I'm talking about really trying to do something to heal the evil in this world, having lost somebody. So just waking up in the morning, finding a newspaper article online. A 29-year-old man's died of a heart attack here. A 34-year-old woman's died of a heart attack here. Show some respect. You don't know the circumstances. Show some respect to the person who's died. Show some respect to their families. And show a bit of respect for yourselves. You know, stop doing it. Do something more constructive. Go and do some real research into excess deaths. We all know. My last video, the elephant in the room. We all know what it is. We know. But let's think logically about this as well, right? Because I think logic's disappearing here a little bit as well. If excess deaths are running somewhere between 10 and 40% across the world, which is absolutely shocking when you think about it, right? Then use your common sense. That means that not everybody who's died is going to have died of the thing you wanted them to have died of. And the fact that you're weaponising it weakens our position and weakens people and families like mine, our quest for justice and accountability. So stop doing it. Do something constructive around it. Find out the real reasons. Write a blog, write an article, do a video. Stop sharing the shit out of stuff. So I think it was Groucho Marx. Was it Groucho Marx said he'd never want to be he'd never want to be a member of a group that he was in. And I think that sums it up. It sums up perfectly the whole concept and trouble with groupthink. And I have a kind of an innate suspicion of groups, whatever they may be. I've never really felt part of a particular group. Never really felt like I fitted in with a particular type of organisation. I've always felt a little bit out of place. And the older I get, the more I start to realise why that is. But crucially, I think some people in the truther community need to have these conversations with themselves. Return back to, what is it that we're fighting for here? Yes, we're fighting for human rights, right? We're fighting for bodily autonomy, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, all the rest of it. Surely we're also fighting for things like truth. Things like truth. Fighting for truth, aren't we? And if you're just sharing, mindlessly sharing and regurgitating the same old shit that millions of other people are doing, and I mean millions, spamming different groups, clicking a button and pressing share, do you really think you're helping? Or are you still living in May, June 2020? And if that's all that you've been doing these last couple of years, just sharing information, ask yourself, have I really done enough? Have you got out there? You know, have you got out there with the yellow boards, stand in the parks, distribute the light paper? Have you done stuff like that? Or have you just sat behind a computer and with your phone in your hand going, not commenting on anyone else's stuff that they share, probably not even looking at it, just finding your own stuff and sharing it to validate how you feel? So, it's a problem that needs to be talked about. And it's something that is important to me. If we really do want to imagine a better future, one where we have respect for the living and probably even more importantly, respect for the dead, where we want real truth and accountability and respect and humility and spirituality, well, what are we doing ourselves to cultivate that? I ask myself these questions every single day. And as I say, I went through a little spell where I was getting wrapped up myself. And even now, you know, even now I can spend too much time looking at things, your Twitter and all the rest of it. It's all the same thing going round and round and round. And I have to say to myself, Dave, you know, sit and look out the window, do some meditation, read a book, create some content like this. Because this, for me, is what it's all about. This is a conversation, a flawed conversation, a conversation full of holes, probably a quite inarticulate conversation. But it is a conversation. It's a conversation with myself. And it's a conversation with you. And it might be one that you do decide to share because it might be part of a conversation that solves a little problem for somebody else as they're having their own conversations. So please do let me know what you think. And I just want to say again towards the end of this video now, I think my subscribers, you do attract the right people into your life, understand what I'm saying here. And I've learned so much from so many of you, from what you've said, from your comments. I've met some of you personally. I've interacted with quite a few of you away from here, and I've learned lots. And I'm on my own path to improvement. Let's say to improvement. And I am the imperfect individual. I am a hypocrite. I am full of contradictions. I am full of faults. I do not know the truth. I do not know the truth. And that's what we need to remember. Okay, speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.